Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I wasn't sure if you were coming. I was setting up the screen solo just to be safe.
Always,
Just didn't know. I know you're a busy, busy man.
I mean, I'll tell you if I'm not
I
coming.
figured, but I just wanted. You like to
So
throw me.
I,
You like to
I
throw me a curveball every now and again. So I was ready.
just sending out an email to Alan Ellman about he got 19,500 views on Twitter,
Wow,
and yep, and we just got 70,000 followers on Twitter. We
nice.
just we just passed up Schwab Network.
You fucking rock. I got to get some stuff to you for from Agnieszka's interviews because she's sort of saying, "Hey, we getting any views? What's going on?"
Let's do it. Let's get her
You
up
know,
there. But
I'll get her up
that's
there. It's hard with her stuff. Nothing, you know what I mean? Is it's great
yeah.
info, but it doesn't motivate,
Let's just
unfortunately.
you know what? I'll motivate the tweet.
Good morning, Quasar Markets Live. Happy Hump Day, Mr. Orr. I have Big Beat Stephen Orr, our CEO and founder here. How you doing today?
Baby, it's cold outside. I mean, natural gas pumping this
I
morning.
got it right here
You
for
know,
you.
if you, look, I tell everybody under $3 for nat gas is where it's at. Buy it, accumulate it. That's where it's going to. Look, the United States, yes, has a glutton of nat gas, and that's why the price has been suppressed. But it is cold all over the world, and especially in the UK where they're having problems. LNG, liquefied natural gas, all of Louisiana is ready for that, and it's shipping and exporting. And guess what? They don't have enough for everybody, so that pushes the price up and well, of course, that UNG fund,
Right.
which is not an ultra fund, but it's an exponential fund. Long story short, back up 5% today. So look, that's what happens. You just have to sit around and wait for it, and then one day you go, "Oh, thank you very much. I'll take my money." Shampoo, as I call it, rinse and repeat.
I was going to ask.
And
So,
there
did
you
you
go.
take your profit because you this would be the second time this week as it hit three, you did it and then sold off pretty quickly. I know that I did. As soon as I woke up this morning and saw that, I immediately hit that sell button. I was on a small little trade there, but definitely, those 5% moves in a day work. And I'm going to continue on our
Yeah,
performance yesterday. You nailed Bitcoin to 100,000 within the show. You nailed your trade on AI, but I gotta say, Steve, you gotta start listening to me, buddy. I said 43, went to 45.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
hey, listen, I'm just teasing you when I say that again. Take profits is never something we get mad about here or look back on. But those things nailed. And again, XRP, right? I was talking about yesterday's dip. If you believed in regulatory clarity coming, especially in the way of an ETF, back at 235 here already today on news that their stable coin got approved by the Department of Financial Services in New York, which I will tell you is the
Yeah.
toughest crypto regulator in the
Yeah.
world. And that is strong for the market. CPI, Steve, we got to get right into that, right? CPI data came out pretty much as expected here. Markets liked it, though. Markets immediately sort of shot up a little bit here, and they're holding up so far. So, do you think that news gets us into a nice little green day here after having, a pretty sublime 10 days?
Here's what's interesting. The CPI data came out at rising by 0.3%. That was in line with expectations. So inflation definitely is in check. But there's a couple points in there that I wanted to say. Number one, energy prices fell by 3.2% overall, but gasoline fell by 8.1%.
And it's a huge part of that number. Huge part of
Correct.
that
Yeah.
number when they do
That
the
helped
weighting.
a lot of things
Yeah.
down. Look, the difference is shelter and transportation, meaning cars themselves, pricing cars, um, fixing your car up. Those prices rose, shelter rose, home prices are rising. I saw this morning mortgage apps are rising because rates are coming down again,
Right.
up 27%.
Well, people have
That
been
tells
waiting.
me
I
a
mean,
lot.
it's been a year that people have been on the sidelines that needed to do that. I
Keep
will
waiting.
mention though that rents actually dropped for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a little bit of a crack there. So as you said, people looking to get out of those
Well,
expensive
that's
rents.
obvious. Nobody wants to move. They have the house they want, and it's getting cold, so nobody wants to move in the cold.
Yeah,
It's pretty simple.
absolutely.
They're stuck for the winter. They're going to go on their vacations. They're going to go on holiday trips. They're going to go see family, and they don't want to be moving in trucks and vans, moving their moving cars
Yeah,
and
no,
their
I can tell
furniture
you, as
through
you
the
know, I live in a
snow.
new development here in Ohio, and they are, we were in on stage one. They're finishing up, the last couple of stages now. And yeah, exactly. Everybody either moved in at the end of October or we see that they're not selling. You know what I mean? Is that it was a rush where we saw a big move in October. We probably got 7 or 8 new neighbors. But now, like you said, it has definitely gone the other way. And interesting, I'm trying to get some more information out of Fisher Homes, which is what I live in, but tough to do because we've had about 4 or 5 that had sold them things that are now not sold. So I'm also curious as to people back out. What's sort of going on there because there were a few now for sale. So we'll keep an eye on that. That did have U.S. Treasuries moving in a downward spot here. The 20-year back down at
Oh,
4.11.
just hearing right now, Apple is working on an AI chip with Broadcom.
Yeah,
Um,
AVGO. Yeah.
oh wow, there you go. That's huge.
Yeah, that's actually something we'll talk maybe a little bit later on. But I was reading an article talking about the fact of okay, we know Nvidia is the gorilla in the room, right? They do about 80 some odd percent of that chip business. What is going to play out over the next couple of years? Who are the people to look at? Is it AVGO? Is it Marvell? Is it AMD? So I think we can talk a little bit more about that later. But I was surprised that it looks like Marvell is the one that everyone's sort of watching. And part of that is because they're such a small contender right now at under 1% of the market, with expectations to hit 4% of that market. So, and definitely a huge growing market. So I'll be interested to watch that. Looking at indices and sectors here, 10 of the 11 sectors when it comes to the spider funds are up here today. Only one that is not is consumer staples. So, um, so far again, we haven't seen that in about 10 days. This type of a setup, so it'll be interesting to see. And as we come into the day, most of the world's markets were up. Also, we see the stocks up about 0.3%. Same with Shanghai. And the Nikkei up over 1.18% when they don't usually have that big a move. So that's a pretty big move for the Nikkei. So it does look like, again, sentiment moving more into the green, more into the green, more into the green. That puts my spidey sensors up more, more, and more personally.
Yeah.
I'd ask you because you're the one that tends to, look at that. If everybody, doesn't, is everybody's got all their lines down the left side of the boat, you might want to be having at least one on the right side, right?
Well, I mean, look, when you're going fishing for stocks and bonds, and you're trying to figure out where to move money around to, you try to find things that are cheap. I always look for the mismanagement of money, right? So tell me where people are wrong, and that's what I look. And right now, look, I've said it a million times. Latin America is where it's at, because, and of course Europe is down, and Asia markets are down. Why? Okay, but if you look at the bond market, the it's very simple. The Dixie 106.40 right now,
Yeah.
slipping a bit here, and spot gold at 2,700, going to probably 3,000. You heard it from Peter Thomas talking about silver. I have been talking about silver. Silver at 31.77, a little bit down today, but we're going to 50. I mean, we've been hitting 32 and sticking around that area. But look, these are alternative assets, not normal for stock market, right? And people are moving away from the market a little bit. They're all hitting all-time highs, but good God, look at the amount of money on the sideline, and it's got to go somewhere. And people are getting nervous about putting it in, and they're putting it into Bitcoin. They're putting it into other things that are not outside of their normal realm of buying, right? So
Yeah.
I agree with it.
Yeah, a couple things I'd point out. Really nice W formation here if you're looking at silver, played out. So if it holds above that 50-day MA, you like you said, you can see the move right back up to 35 here.
Quickly.
Um,
Yeah.
Gold's going to be interesting because I was reading there's actually Goldman Sachs just gave its end of 2025 estimation. You think you're going to hit 3K this year? They don't. They think that that's going to be the end of next year's number. So I was a little surprised there. As a Bitcoin guy, I had to laugh and say, "Oh man, you looking for a 10% increase?" And I'm
I,
just joking. Listen, it's
I mean,
just
look, I just shined my crystal ball up a few minutes ago. Uh, the crystal balls on everybody's desks are different. Mine's a pretty big one. Trust me, mine is no better than the other one. But I will say this much: look, the markets are still pushing. The markets are still doing its thing. There's still money on the sideline. We just said it. Look, and so
yeah.
there's a possibility here of when we see all this money on the sidelines, Warren Buffett has a mountain of money on the sidelines, and he is being very, very
He's not
judicious
the only
about
one,
that.
and we're seeing it play out. I again a
Yes.
couple of companies that I'm not all that familiar with. Patterson's companies got are going private. They
Yeah.
provide equipment for vets and eye doctors. I thought number one that was a weird combination. As I was looking up because I was not familiar with Patterson, but they create
Well, I mean,
that.
one of the big things that Patterson does that I think a lot of people don't know is animal health care. They're huge in animal health care for livestock,
Oh
and
wow.
that to me is a big play here. They are a very large company. They have a large conglomerate, and look, they've been around for a very, very, very long time. I think probably since the late 1800s. So
Oh
this
wow.
company is quality. Company probably you don't even probably know about. But veterinarian supplies is huge right now, especially in the animal
Oh yeah,
livestock.
everywhere, everywhere. Let's face it. I mean, I just had my dog at the vet the other day for a lovely UTI, and $280 later, you walk out, and we all take our dogs. I know how you treat Bailey, so yeah, and $4 billion deal, but it just goes to what you're saying with this money on the sideline. We saw Walgreens is up tremendously, right? WBA, based upon news there about them going private. I also was hoping that you would talk a little bit. I know you were rather upset yesterday. You talked about it in our Slack channel. So when we saw the news and you saw it on Quasar Markets first, by
Yeah, I
about
did.
10 minutes, I'd
Nailed it.
say.
Nailed
Yeah,
it.
we
Yeah.
we had about a 10-minute head start, but we couldn't do much with it. And I was hoping that you could talk to that.
Yeah, I mean the exchanges set the timer on when they actually do the halts and when they pull them off. I mean normal halts are roughly about 5 minutes. They are 5 minutes, but sometimes they can be a little longer, a little bit
Yep.
shorter based on what the exchange wants to do. In that case, it was a little longer than 5 minutes. They were trying to digest the news and they let all the friends in. So wasn't a
Yeah.
happy camper with that. And then of course everybody just sold into it when they were able to get into it. But they waited till all the news started to digest it. Even CNBC was posted it.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
even
that's
empty
yeah.
newswires
I
that
was
was on
hoping you would just talk to that because it's one of the things again that we talk about. We're hopefully moving to a day where that becomes less and less as blockchain technology and electronic trading permeates the day. It's harder for those things to happen because there's automatic stuff. There's not a person doing something. There's computers that do it without
right.
your outside influence. No
Now
one
look,
can
I'm
change it.
all about
Yeah, you need
exchanges
those circuit
talking.
breakers. Don't get me wrong, but
Circuit
but
breakers
again,
are
they should
very
be
important.
consistent. If it's 5 minutes, that's what the rule says. It's 5 minutes, not a second longer. A smart contract will make sure that is the case. So that is
Yeah.
things that will happen there. I want to stay sort of in the news here. American Airlines continuing to move up. Some of the ones we talked about yesterday. Again, we're seeing that. And then we saw today a nice move up, not in that area, but another one of the big conglomerates has been falling behind GM. And I was a little surprised by this because they moved up on the news that they're getting out of the robotaxi business.
Yeah.
They're not getting out of autonomous driving. They're going to move those people over to their self-driving stuff for their cars, and they have that built in. I know the Cadillac, the new Cadillac, EVs all have that,
Right.
sort of Tesla hands-free driving built in. So,
Yeah,
you,
I was in a vehicle this week with General Motors, Cadillac, hands-free driving, and
yeah,
I found it interesting. I mean, of course, I have an X5 BMW, and it drives itself as well. I mean, look, if I told, if I mean, my parents thought I was nuts at Thanksgiving when I told them that cars would drive themselves one day, and
yeah, they
these
are.
people are the ones who are now saying, I kind of want a car that drives itself. I'm no longer nervous about things because I don't like driving. I hate it.
Yeah,
It's just
I had a laugh as I was speaking with Agnieszka Wood, our trading mindset coach, and she'll be on today at 12. She was just in Arizona, and her ride pickup to the airport was a robo taxi. She was
yeah.
like, and just she said it was great, loved it, loved it. So, yeah, it's definitely the future. I mean, again, I don't have my cars I've talked about. I'm old technology, but my Kia has that adaptable cruise control. And as you know, I drove down to you in Florida, and I didn't touch my brake once. It literally just
Well,
does
that's
it
true.
for you. It makes life easy. It really is.
But I'll
Um,
tell you this much. I'll tell you if you talk about anything, it affects one industry massively, and that's the insurance industry, right? If
yeah,
cars are not having wrecks and you don't really need all that insurance because your car now is controlled by Elon Musk, then obviously your premiums will go down. I think you're going to see that, right? You're going to see premiums dropping heavily for cars that are on hybrid or electric and cars that are drive it themselves because you have that extra added safety feature. Look, can
yeah.
things happen? Yes, of course, anything can happen. But the chances of that happening are starting to slim a lot.
And they'll
And insurance
exponentially
companies,
do that. Again, that's where
yes,
Moore's law comes into effect. It isn't just a regular move of, hey, we're going to get 10% better a year. That's not how AI and technology works. It does in
correct.
multiples.
Yeah,
Um, and what I was going to bring up is wait till you tell your parents or when they see that not only does the car drive itself, but if you're driving down the road leisurely to go just to dinner and someone's in a rush and on their way to the airport and behind, there will be a way for there to be a cryptocurrency transaction that happens automatically where you'll set a self contract. And these programs are being worked on where you'll say, I'll let anybody that wants to pay me a quarter pass me on the highway. And your car communicates to the car behind you that information. And the car behind you decides whether it wants to send you a crypto payment of 25 cents to move out of the way. Microtransactions. And they won't be quarters, they'll be quarters of a penny. But this is real technology, the IoT of things that is, moving in that direction. So it will be very interesting. Steve, I don't usually come up with ones that I am looking at short in here, but I got one that I want you to take a look at here today. MTN
oh wow,
Mountain,
okay,
which is Vail Resorts, and I know the
yeah.
rich are spending a lot of money, but they're just again, I was looking at that, and I just think that this is one that's prime for a retrace.
I'm going to disagree with you on this one. I don't like. I like this one. I like MTN. I think Vale. The problem with MTN. That's the problem. The good thing about MTN is where they're located in Vale. Vale is where. Yeah, I don't. I like this stock. I don't. I think we'll go higher. Yeah.
We'll see. I am probably going to short it. I disagree, and I've looked a lot into the company, and they are not just in Vail. They've really
Well,
outstepped
yeah.
themselves, and they've bought a lot of places that are struggling right now here in my area, up into Michigan and into New England.
Yeah, but
So
what I'm saying is Vale, Breckenridge, the main ones, Park City, Whistler. This is the main ones, and I understand that, and I've been talking about it for a while. And if you look at UNG, the price is up. Why? Because it's cold. I think it's going to be snowy, 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 and I think there people don't want to go to their ski resort if it's not snowing, right? Because they want to go skiing. It's hot. They're going to go skiing this year, and they're going to spend a lot of money. And Trump is the president, so they're going to feel better about life, and they're going to go on vacation. So no, I really don't. I
yeah, I
think
just yeah, we'll see. I think number one, it's almost at $200, and that's to me, I think it's going to have trouble breaking to that psychological 200 number.
okay.
I think that I've looked at prices because I am a skier. It is ridiculous if you want to try to take someone skiing. If you want to
Well,
go
what if I
skiing,
what if I told you the number one thing that at Vail right now at MTN is the Epic Pass?
Yeah, that's their seasonal pass.
Right.
Absolutely. That's how they make
Um,
all their money. Their subscriptions are
yeah.
90% of their business.
Right. And I think the Epic Pass, look, I get it that there might be some sales declining there a little bit, but I'm just not. I, I'm okay. I want to pull up Veil right now. I don't know if you can pull up their here. I'll send it to you, the link to you, so you can post it here. I want to show you. There we go. Um, they're not just in Vale and Breckenridge, which they have the big ones, right? Breckenridge, Keystone, Park City. But they're Switzerland. They've got
Oh,
Zermatt under
they're
lock.
everywhere. Like I said, they're the
Right.
largest. They're not. I mean,
I just
it's.
wouldn't
I'm
go
very
against that.
familiar with them. I have an Epic. I've had Epic passes over the years.
Okay, good.
Um,
I just wouldn't go against them right now. I don't like going against when you look at I mean they're not even on sale right now. You can't even buy for right now. They've already sold them out. And number of oh my goodness gracious, a number of one adult ticket right now for one day is
That's what I'm
$300.
saying. I don't know any. Everybody that I talked to that I grew up with that were skiers are telling me they no longer do it. That they cross country ski. They do not. They don't downhill. They can't afford it. They can't take their families. If you see the prices, what's going on with the retailers that sell, skis and winter equipment, they've talked about how that's down this year.
All
I'm
right,
looking at
I
this
like
from a
that.
bigger area. And again, I'm more looking at it because it shot up on earnings. It did its play, and I'm now looking for a quick retracement. And I think
Well,
that that's
Deutsche Bank just raised Vail's price target to 202
but it's
from
at
190.
196, Steve.
So, all right, so let's do this. Let's just do it from here until the end of the year. That I say we go up, you say it goes down. Here we go.
Okay, let's
Write
see.
it down.
You got it. And
And
I'm only
looking.
looking for a retracement to about 185, and then I'll be out.
Okay.
So if it goes
All
to
right. There you
185 and then goes up to 300, I won't care.
go. Okay. Are you now with saying that? Are you actually shorting it?
I'm looking at it this morning. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to
Okay.
look at it through options. So I'm looking at it through a covered put spread.
Ooh, a covered put spread. All right. I like that.
And I think I just think it's gonna. It broke below that. It's like I said, 185. That's where I have my support level in here. I have it at 185 to 188. I think next move up to 200. If it gets rejected, I'm in.
Okay.
Ones that continue to move up here, UNFI continuing to move up here, now up at over $30. Oh, 29.92. It was above 30 here a little earlier. Again, health food moving up. GME up almost 3% here on earnings, Steve. They actually made money. So the company itself is actually starting to make some money. Like to see that.
I haven't bought a single game, physical game, in years. I don't know how they're making money, to be honest with you. I can tell you that
Online
toys.
subscriptions, I can tell you how they are.
Okay, yeah,
I personally don't use it, but I use EA's. I have EA's, season pass. I get my NFL, I get my, golf, I get my soccer, all for one price through directly from Electronic Arts because those are the games that I play. That's where they're getting it. I mean, I'm not saying it's a system I like, but that is where the money is coming from when it comes to GME, is through their online presence. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm with you. I can't even tell you the last time. I mean, they sell Xboxes that you don't even use that come without the disk drive. Where you can only digitally download.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
I don't really understand. I mean, I have Game Pass from Microsoft. I play that.
yeah,
That
same
saves
difference. Yep.
saves me. The God, a game now today is $100. Where today it's free. I paid what is it, $15 a month, something like that.
Yeah, $20 a month. I get like I said, that's what I do because I knew I buy the same 3 games or 4 games every year. It's always from EA personally, and that's what I use. So, that's yeah. But
Yeah, and I just watched that video from Netflix on Madden
yeah, I
about
loved it.
football.
I loved
Yeah,
it.
it's interesting. the gaming, how a game comes about and what people think about and the
Well,
backing
and isn't
behind
it
it.
amazing how they actually hire literally scouting directors from like colleges
Yeah.
and pros that they then employ to actually do that stuff? Um, yeah, it really is amazing when you see how they do it. Steve, one that you and I have talked about that was probably going to be hit to the downside. Dave and Buster's here down about 14% in the pre-market here. Got hit pretty hard on earnings, this morning.
I mean, Dave and Buster's is Dave and Buster's. To me, um, I don't know.
Well, they're
I
that
don't get,
tough spot that we've seen with Dollar General and Dollar Tree. They can't trade down
yeah.
anymore. You know what I mean? Is Applebee's you're already at 9.99 meals for two and stuff like that. Where do you go from there? The companies that are winning right now are the companies that were making good profits and now are just making decent profit by cutting into
Well,
that a
I
little bit.
think that, and I think that there is some competition now with Dave and Buster's with Main Street and a few other places
Bunch of
like
and
it.
we got a lot of independents here that are in that sort of
Correct.
business.
Yeah.
I do agree with that too, without a doubt.
And Dave
Um,
and Buster's has a pretty interesting story. These are two guys in
yeah,
Arkansas, guys named Dave and one named Buster. They
sure,
lived
yeah.
across the street from each other. One had a pizza place and one had
Arcade.
an arcade. And so let's put them together and make one big place called Dave and Buster's. And they made it really, really big, and it got really, really big, and it might have gotten too big now, right?
Yeah,
Catching
that's
up.
part
So,
of it, and no one goes to malls anymore like we talked
right.
about the same way. So it's a hard thing there. And what you've seen is bigger is better. Now you also have these humongous, trampoline slash, places for the kids to go play. You've got have you seen these new golf TGL ones that Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy are behind? They're gonna have that
Oh no.
it's amazing. They have you hit, you're using a computer to do your stuff, but if it says you hit into the sand trap, they've got a sand trap that you walk over to and then you hit out of that for your next shot. Or if it says it goes in
Okay.
the rough, you're actually hitting from indoor grass like grass. And they're going to be on TV. It's going to be interesting, but I think that's also the other part like you're saying. A lot of
And you're
competition
still
available.
you're still swinging a metal stick at a little white ball, and as I remember being called in when I worked in the floor of the Chicago Board of Trades, we called it cow pasture poker
Uh,
or cow pasture pool. Look, it is the same. They're able to play golf, great, good for them. I don't understand it. It's a silly game,
I like it.
and
I don't play as much as I used to, but it gives you a couple
oh
hours.
heck, I used to work with the PGA Tour. I get it. I understand, but the truth of the matter is, I don't think golf is as popular as it used to be. I think people are getting away from golf, and they don't have the celebrities that they used to have. Tiger Woods was a big draw for a PGA Tour, and that's missing now too. So I don't see that. See Broadcom sitting up there on your screen there, brother.
Yeah, AVGO up about 4.28% here in the morning. Has
How about
turned
a big
over on the
one for
short term.
us? A big win for Quasar Markets here would be Trump's pick for FTC, Mr. Andrew Ferguson. This guy is pro mergers and acquisitions, and we have been screaming it here that this has absolutely been disgusting. Paulina Khan, she is gone, and they did it again with Albertsons and Kroger again, fighting them in court over that merger. And look at Kroger today; it's terrible. And now Albertsons is suing Kroger, and rightfully so. So this is getting worse and worse. This administration can't come fast enough, and this stopping every single thing that goes through is just absolutely disgusting and not un-American to not merge and
Yeah,
just
and
grow
the
and
whole
get
thing, I
bigger.
mean, Walmart still has more stores than the combined Albertson Kroger
Right.
merger would have. So does Dollar Tree. So does Dollar General. Yeah,
You're not hurting Publix. I promise you. Sam's Club and Publix are not I mean, it's just crazy. This is, we want better quality food, more, people just want more choices. And you know what? That's going to happen with a Kroger and an Albertsons. And I grew up with both of them in my
yeah,
home. I
yeah.
grew up with
Albertsons
Piggly Wiggly
dominates
and
here.
IGA.
Kroger's dominates here. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Right.
Not Albertson, Kroger in the Midwest, is everything. And yeah, I mean. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, luckily this isn't a situation like Save where, Kroger's at risk of going out of business. But it wasn't. But it makes no sense. It makes no sense when you have bigger companies out there. Amazon. All they did was make Walmart, Amazon, and Sam's bigger. And
Yeah.
stronger.
And Costco.
Yeah, and Costco. Yeah, absolutely. So
Wow.
it's tough. And then Albertsons walked away. They did announce. They just did announce that they're ending the merger talks. It costs too much money, right?
Agreed. I mean, I don't care. They were doing it. They were setting for it. Now they're gonna pay for it with the lawsuit. So
Yeah, that's just a shame. It really is. Uh,
I think some of
we
the biggest news today is Apple and Siri combining with ChatGPT. That is, to me, tells you where AI is going. Look, I'm telling you right now, AI now being integrated into Siri. It's no longer Apple Intelligence. They failed at Apple Intelligence, Siri, and they went with the bigger company, ChatGPT. Now I'm on board. I like that move. That was a great move. ChatGPT has beat them. Great. Apple, time to pay up. All right. Because Apple doesn't usually buy companies. They don't usually do those kind of things. And they made a smart move here, a very quality move, I think, because it helps them have a much better experience with your Apple products. I like that. That changes the game for me. And Microsoft is now behind with Gemini. I think ChatGPT is passing them up with Wally and a lot of other things in Dolly. And I think that this is really good. So what's going to happen is if you're in Apple products, and I don't want to say too loudly because I got Apple products right now, Siri, you ask for Siri, and Siri says hello, and you now ask a question. If it's an easy question, no problem. If it's a harder question, it'll automatically go to ChatGPT. That changes the game for me when it comes to. I will play along and say Apple Intelligence, but the truth of the matter is I really like this move, and I think Apple has a bigger future in the AI world now that they're not trying to do their own thing now.
Yeah, I didn't get that same takeaway from that. I got that they were allowing competition, that they were still going to be the default. You had to actually opt into Chat GPT, was what I read, and that's not, they're not just going to stop there, that they're going to allow others onto the platform too. That this was more of a move to keep the regulators at bay. So we'll see how that plays out for sure. All the Mag 7 up pretty significantly here today. Apple being the laggard, actually at up 0.14% as we now are open on the day. Tick is at about 20, so we are pretty flat here on the tick. Advanced decline at 30, almost 3,500 here as we open up.
Yeah, it's going to be a positive day today. People are, earnings still aren't good, but the inflation rate is in check, which means we will see a rate cut coming up here in the meeting, and then yeah, so going right along.
Yep, nicely. Everything moving up. It looks like across the board, everything so far. I did see your man Tom Lee came out with some different projections here. He has SPY maxing out at 7,000 after the first quarter of the year, but then being at about 6,550 at the end of next year now. So one of the more bullish men out there. Taking a little bit of a backward look there, and he says Bitcoin $250,000 is his latest projection for
Um,
2025.
if I'm gonna put my bullhorns on, I better put them. I better start growing them now. I get it. Look, Howard, this whole year I said we would hit 100,000. Here we are. I feel, but good Lord, 250,000. Yeah, could very well do it actually.
Yeah, he's been pretty close. I'm
It's
not
been a
gonna
lot.
lie. He's always been a little bit overly bullish and maybe a little ahead in his time frames, but I mean, he's been right about there. I
We are
mean,
open in 1437 now on UNG. Look, I'm not telling you whether to buy or sell. I like this now. If you're in it, hello, take your profit and run.
yeah, up,
We don't tell
four
anybody what
point
to
one
do.
five percent. Like I said, that one I definitely got out of that pretty quickly there this morning. It made sense.
Yeah, this one here tells me everything. $98,600 still on Bitcoin. 98,000 seems to be a really rough spot. Somewhere between 98 and 99. They just can't seem to break it. Someone's holding the price under 100,000. Look, I'm okay with it, by the way. To be honest with you, I think some of the OGs, the original gangsters in crypto and Bitcoin, are starting to sell some of their piles off, and I like that. I don't like it just going straight to Sailor, but look, it needs to be more widely accepted. People need to have it more than what we have right now, and that to me tells me everything. I want to see more acceptance of it now in businesses, which we are. Yes, Microsoft shareholders failed to get that passed. I think that was a silliness, but I don't, they don't need to have they don't need to have a big pile of Bitcoin at Microsoft. But they do need to accept it, right? That's the key to the whole thing of Bitcoin in this world is continuing up to accept it, and acceptance is growing pretty fast.
Yep, absolutely. I can't argue with that. Crypto in general up nicely today. The alts really running. A couple of the ones we talked about, Render has really been moving up here, up another 10.76% here today. So this one looks like it wants to try to make a run here. Render is tied into Apple a lot. They use their product for shared GPU themselves. They don't sell it; they use it themselves for their projects, for their things. All the crypto mining companies moving up pretty nicely today. I'm watching here. We're seeing a little bit, again, what we're seeing is a bullish start by the ETFs. So again, this is usually led. So Steve, you might see it break through 100 again here today. We're showing up 2.5% across most of the ETFs here when we're only up about 2.28%. So we're seeing that little bit of a premium being paid for the ETFs today. That has been bullish for Bitcoin in general. So we'll see if that holds up here. Mag 7 all holding up here in the positive. Tesla up 2.5%. Man, it's running 410 here now, Steve, again on Tesla. Hit an all-time high here this morning, 412.50. Wow, don't fade the Musk for sure.
I agree with that, but at some point, it's a little silly to
Yeah,
me.
it seems like it.
Yeah,
I mean, what's its market cap at right now? 1.31 trillion.
yeah. Well, he spent how much money on the election, so it's paying off for him.
Yeah, yeah, you can't argue that way. Apple now up 0.5%. It seems to be getting a little bit of love here after we opened Microsoft up a 0.5 point also.
Yeah, I mean, that's Apple's doing the right move here. I like Apple
Steve,
and
your
Siri here.
Netflix moving in the right direction, right below 935 here, up 2.36% here, pushing again to an all-time high just now, 935.80.
I mean, we're going to 1,000. I've said this on TV. I've said this on everywhere. We're going to 1,000 early part of next year, and we're on our way. Why? Because Netflix and chill. The movies are still coming out. People are still using it, but the international versions are cheaper to purchase for Netflix, and they're doing that, and it's cheaper. So now they've got more countries, more people. Their growth is happening overseas, not in the United States.
Be interesting. It looks like it's set up for a breakaway today. If it gets above that 937.60 here, watch for a run above 930, above that level for sure. Adobe does have earnings here today. I don't know if they did them yet this morning.
How
Nope.
about a
So
Boeing? How about Boeing at 168 here? I mean,
yeah, I mentioned that, yesterday
yeah.
afternoon. Boeing, once they started, you talked about it. Once things cleared away there and it finally broke to that 150 level. With that being said, on the other side of that is SMCI just can't get out of its own way, so to speak. Down 10% here today after making a move almost up to 50 the other day. Back down at 36.59, dropped below the 50-day MA here this morning. They just, man, they do not have any confidence from the consumer. Another company, you want to talk about a company that, Macy's down 11% here. And they're blaming one employee for this drop. Did you see that?
Yeah.
There was accounting issues and it was one accountant. Man, if I owned Macy's stock, I would be pissed. uh, SFXI stiff picks up about 18% here today. They had earnings this morning, moving in the right direction for sure. And again, that is Stix Fix. You ever buy? I never bought anything from them. Have you?
Nope. Agree with you on that one. I'm actually short Tesla, by the way. Sorry, I should have mentioned that just a second ago.
Nice.
Um, I am short from, yeah, 406.50 here, so could be maybe wrong, but I don't I see it a little bit of selling here coming in.
There you go.
Yeah.
I will point out one of the losers so far in the day, MTN, down about a quarter of a percentage point here at 195.04. So a little bit of a hit here this morning. ASO up 3.54%. They had earnings miss yesterday, but as people read it, and I saw that Beard had just moved them to a 68 point price target there. They're trading at 54.44 right now. Interesting one approaching its 200-day MA here on ASO. I'll be interested to see what it does as it approaches that 56 level here. A break of that would be an interesting play here for a move back up to that 65 level. So ASO again, that is Academy Sports and Outdoors. Let's see what's pumping here this morning.
We're seeing the VIX now 1366, so it's really telling you there's nothing out there.
Handle Therapeutics running here pretty nicely. This could be in play. Yeah, it's running 1460. A little expensive for one of those to play. LAES was winning earlier here. Let's see what this is doing now. This is more my target range, that $1. Just it's about to break through VWAP. Here's one for you, Steve. It breaks 123. LAES would definitely be in a play for a move back up towards 165. So keeping an eye here. This is one I was looking at this morning. The company's name is Seals Q. But again, it broke the dollar range, one of those NASDAQ ones that had to get above $1 to keep their listing. And if it breaks through VWAP here at 123 here, you could see a nice run. Ron, ASO is kicking you like a soccer ball. Sorry to hear that, my friend. Here you go, 123. Looks like this wants to go. LAES is what I'm keeping an eye on here. One of the pumpers here this morning rejected right at that VWAP. We'll see what we get here out of that.
And I did fade the Musk, and I might be wrong here, so let's see. 99,000 now back on Bitcoin.
Add that to my watch list. Wow, GME now up 6% on the day, so it is moving. Does look to be in play. Maybe the Wall Street Bets folks trying to get it moving here. Mag 7 continuing to move up. Tesla 407.40 here or so, but it does look like it's pulling back a little bit for you, Steve. Netflix pulling back a little bit here. Google definitely moving up 2.93% here. Nice little move over the last
I mean,
15
Google's
minutes.
is winning because of Willow. I think Willow is an amazing product here.
Yeah, and that is the quantum computing chip, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, correct.
And again, they're looking to break to an all-time high here. 193.31 would get them there. 193.31. If you break through that, you could see a breakout there also. Nvidia up about half a percentage point here right now. Nvidia struggling to close above the 50-day MA for the first sign of weakness. We got 252 on the tick here, 280. Advanced decline has come down to about 26.15, but still positive there. What's interesting is advanced decline on the NASDAQ is negative, negative 923 to be honest with you here. So NASDAQ outside of the Mag 7 not getting a lot of love, it looks like. Let's see if we look at the chip sector. They're all up though, so that's not where it's happening. E-commerce getting hit here, so that could be a little bit of
Russia's
the
Putin
Nasdaq.
says that sanctions are pushing Russia to develop their own AI solutions.
Healthcare is getting hit hard here today. UNH down another 3.62%. Um, Elevate down 1.45. I don't know who CL is. Clover, Cigna down 3.49. CVS
Come,
down
come on,
3.23.
Tesla. Keep dropping, baby. Keep dropping. I see you, baby. I see you. A little more of a drop there, I think,
Gold
for
back above 2,700 here, Steve. Bitcoin back below 99. Solana back above 225 here. That's interesting to see.
LAES has been halted here.
That's the one I was watching there.
Yeah.
What's it halted at? Yeah, 134. So it blew through VWAP. There you go. That was an easy play right there. Blew through VWAP, went right up towards the top. You still got room to about $1.60, but I would not play it here at this point. $1.66 if you're already in it, but it blew through that VWAP. That is the play. Stitch Fix now up 22% here on the day. Biggs was another runner here
Tick
this morning.
dropping here pretty quickly here. One down 100 now, so should see some
Sell off.
99,000 once again on Bitcoin. It could run to 100 here pretty quickly.
Tesla trying to drop down for you here, Steve.
Yeah, I
Back
think we're
below
gonna.
VWAP here, so that usually leads to a good spot for you, hopefully.
Yeah, I
Macy's down
actually doubled down.
11%.
I
SMCI
doubled
down
down.
another 6.88% here today.
We're gonna push a little higher, 99.1 there a little bit.
Yeah, Nat Gas back above 325 here, Steve. QQQ now up over 1%. Steve,
Tesla's
oil
still.
moving back up here above 69, Steve. That sort of split my eyes there. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I noticed that there might be some SPR buy in there to recover some of that.
As we talked about earlier, the treasuries are down a little bit here after the CPI data came out with the expectation now of that quarter point cut. We do have our man Stephen Flanagan in 15 minutes. We'll ask him about that and more. I did see some news today. I'm going to ask him about where China may devalue the yuan as a weapon against the tariffs. So I'm going to ask him a little bit about what his view is there on that. And a few other things with him on DXY that I have, and the Sterling. So, got a few questions for our man, and he always brings his own information to the table for us. But yeah, DXY 106.52. It's been moving up in general over the last few
And I
days.
think I did not get out yet in Tesla, but dang close.
Down to 405.15.
It definitely slipped down there.
Yeah. See if it continues its downfall. The B4 has trend direction and divergence is bearish right now. So that's pretty good. Does look like it's dropping. Nvidia continuing to raise up here now at 136.76. Steve, going along with your thesis on European stocks, I did see an article today talking about that Morgan Stanley talking about European car makers could be set for a rebound in 2025.
100% agree. That's what I'm saying. I think that Europe is the place right now. You want to invest, you move the money out of the United States because it's on a high. It's put it in places on the lows. It's not hard to understand, but cars are very expensive in the UK, and that's where I agree with that. 99,300. We might actually get back to 100,000 here on Bitcoin.
Yeah. And the car makers that they were talking about were Volkswagen, Stellantis, Mercedes-Benz, and BMW. That all
100% agree.
had issued profit warnings this year as elevated energy prices slumped sales in China and throughout Europe. Be interested too. I mean, that's going to be one that Trump's going to attack a little bit too, right? Is car sales over in Europe for American cars, which they really
Oh,
haven't.
that's tariff the shit out of those too. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yep. So we'll see how that all plays
404.70
out.
here. I don't need a whole lot more here on this on Tesla here, but we're getting close.
Down. There you go, below 405 now, Steve. LAES is down on that reopen here, 125. But that still keeps it in play here above that VWAP, which was, I think, 120. Yeah, held up just a VWAP here, so could be a good spot for another entry here for play up. 124, there it goes, 127, bounced nicely right off of VWAP. You look for that retrace and bounce. It usually means it's going to take us to that 160 here. Let's see what we get. But that is definitely one still in play. LAES.
404.74, 404.71. Are we going to get my 404.50?
There's 62.
404.55, 37. I'm
There
out.
you
There we
go.
go.
Nice move there, Steve.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Boom. Nice move. Nice move. 403. I had an order of 403.50, but I moved it to 404.50 and I could have held it just a little bit longer, but that's okay.
Again, we never get mad about those here.
And I didn't get to 403. Yeah, I did. 403.41 was the bottom there. Oh, wow. Okay, well, I had a feeling Tesla was just a little bit frothy there. And it looks like we were right. So, yeah.
Nice. Let's see what else we've got going on here. Tick is still positive around 260. Advanced decline staying up right around that 26 55 area.
99.3 on Bitcoin should make everybody happy out there.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely should.
Sure makes me happy.
Okay. Ethereum 2760. Gold still holding that 27 handle. That's good to see. AMD, all the chips get a nice run up here today in general. I mean, literally every chip that's not named STM and GFS in the positive here out of the big ones.
It is interesting that Tesla's slipping here and Bitcoin is 99.4 now. That is interesting. There might be a disconnect here a little bit.
Yeah, I mean the ETFs are doing so much of that business. I don't know if that's the Tesla buyer. I think again it tends to be my dad right now that's moving this price.
403.08 now in the lows of the day. 402.91 was the low of the day there on Tesla. It could literally, there we go. There's another low of the day on Tesla. I had a feeling that the Tesla short was pretty straight.
Nice. Google continuing to move up 192.42 here.
499.5 now. We might actually do it again here. Hit 100,000 in the session.
Ron, that is not an anchored VWAP. That is it's just a regular volume weighted average price from TradingView that I use. It is just their straight VWAP, so it is not anchored.
402.38 now. And there's the low of the day. Wow, the Tesla getting smacked. It 403.09. Look at that. It might actually go below the low of the day here. It might actually go negative. Tesla may go negative on the day. A lot of profit taking there, I think.
Yeah,
But the
without a
Nasdaq's
doubt.
still pushing higher here, though. Ripple 243 here, up about another 2.5%.
Yeah, I mentioned that one. Just trying to pull up my inputs here. So it is anchored actually for the session they're on. So I just wanted to check my inputs there to make sure I gave you the right information. It is anchored for the session. Trying to see what else if I change anything. I don't really
Paul
change. I don't
Villela
change
asked me about
anything on.
UNH this morning. Yeah, I mean that was to me was obvious. Once they start hitting it, I did not want to touch it yet. Look, UNH makes good money. Obviously, that was a bad situation there, but I don't like UNH until things are cleared up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely there. I can understand that. Ticking back towards neutral here, so looks like this quick buying might be slowing down a little bit. QQQ did get up to 527.39 here, 527.39, 527.40. So looks like we did hit an intraday high. Looks like we're trying to blow through it. Again, my next target on Nasdaq is five, or in QQQ 533.93 is what I'm looking for here
You
to
know what's
complete its
interesting
measured
on
moving.
UNH though? It is hitting that 200-day moving average.
Yeah, it was one of the ones I talked about yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know that we're there yet. I mean, it's still, yeah. I can't touch it right now.
Healthcare worries me because there's too much of a regulatory move in there right now, right? It's what it's not a stock picker's pick. It seems like you're just hoping for good, better news. That one's struggling, and that is the sector bringing us down here today. In general, if you look at it, it is definitely the healthcare.
Tesla still holding here at 404 now. I think we might have hit that bottom of the day, but I'm not. I don't like the daily chart on Tesla. That's a little. Yeah, I don't like the daily chart on Tesla. I will say that the 1 minute chart's looking pretty. Yeah, there you go. I had a feeling that was the bottom. So yeah. Oh, boom! There you
Service
go.
service sector up nicely here today.
Bank of Canada's Macklin now says, with policy rate now substantially lower, we anticipate a more gradual approach to monetary policy if the economy evolves broadly as expected. All right, well, I think an economy in Canada going to move up a little bit.
We'll see. Tell you what, I do like Clean Spark here. It pulls back just a little bit more. We'll get a
406
Bitcoin
on Tesla.
minus.
Those of you who are watching, I pretty much called that bottom, and then here we go, pop back up. So
MNTN down a half a point on the day. 194.54 there. My short starting
they're
out good
listening
so
to you,
far.
baby. They're listening to you.
Yeah. Speaking of downside, SMCI and Macy's, huh? Both of them trying to get a little bit of a floor here. I will say this drop on
UNG.
SMCI really took that out of play for me. I've been watching to see if it broke. I was looking to see if it was going to break that 50 area, 50-53 for a continuation play up the 200-day MA. But this drop down just shows you that resistance in that 47, 48 to 50 area is just too strong right now.
UNG now 1445, up almost 5% of the day.
Wow, nice.
I mean, that's what happens with UNG, right? It just you wake up one morning and you're happy, one morning you're sad, right? And but you just when you're sad, you buy more because it's going to go back up. Um,
I
what's
gotta
the thing?
ask, is UNG one of the products though that's sort of like VIX where it's supposed to go back down towards zero or something? I heard Matthew Tuttle and those guys talk about it. I didn't think it was, so I
It
wasn't
is, yeah.
sure.
It
Okay,
it does burn itself off. It's right. Because
contango and stuff.
Tango, that's right, at the end of the month.
Okay,
But we're in the winter months, so that's different, right? It has to stick to the natural gas prices, and of course, natural gas price pushing here at 326 here. So yeah,
okay.
I
Like I said, it was one of those things where they brought it up, and I said, man, I've used it a bunch of times. I know
it
you
is
use
not
it.
something you hold forever. It is
Right,
something
right.
that
It's not
you
a
trade.
long-term holding,
It's a
and
trading
that's what I was
vehicle,
getting
period.
across. It's
Right,
exactly what to use how you just used it, looking for those
right.
spikes like we were looking for.
Yeah, and we
Okay.
caught it. So yeah.
Yep. Okay. I just again, trying to figure it all out there,
I
Steve. There's a
will
lot.
say that I am now starting to get really, 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 really hungry for BTU now. I do like coal here. Look, there's a lot of coal. Um, on the markets. It's flooded the markets a little bit, but when the UNG starts to get a little more pricier here at 326 here, coal becomes cheaper. And there are a lot of factories that do both, right? They can handle nat gas and coal. Um, 99.5 now on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So
BTU, I will say again, Jeremy Vreeland and Matthew Tuttle, those guys have been talking about it too, looking for it to be a rebound
and
here
I
eventually.
will say you've got my boy Steve Flanagan coming up here. I think there is one thing that I do want to would like to for someone to talk to him about, and that's the Indian rupee. The dollar rupee, believe it or not, is at, I think, an all-time low
It
against the
is.
dollar.
We talked about it with him.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, but yeah, no, we'll definitely ask him again. He wasn't there yet. He wasn't ready to jump in on the rupee yet. I don't want to speak for Mr. Flanagan. I am
Okay.
bringing him in here in 1 second, so we can ask him ourselves. But he wasn't quite there yet. So we'll see if that's changed. He went on vacation. You know how that can change a man.
Oh, you go away and you
He's probably
come
all
back
tan and
faster,
looking
and
good, ready to go today. He's gonna have all kinds of insights for us. We're in trouble. I'm getting
I
ready.
have
I
I
might
have
need.
I have 3 10 o'clock meetings at the same time, so I don't know what I'm going to do. But I definitely would like for you, and we can make a video out of it. Let's ask him about the Indian rupee because I am seriously, and I also think. I think the question that I have to ask, because I don't know the answer to this question, is about the Russian ruble. How the hell can a U.S. citizen buy the Russian ruble? Is there a way? And I don't
Not
think that
legally, I
there
don't
is.
think, but we'll ask him. But I believe
But
the answer to
good
that is
God, if
not
I could buy the
legally.
ruble right now, I think that I would, because I don't think Putin's going to last much longer in power. We're already seeing a lot of
Whoa!
this.
Hey, you guys, listen. Those are certain. There, like I said, there are certain things I do. We do not say that on the show. I do not need to be poisoned on my next. You're leaving for Europe soon, Steve.
I ain't scared.
Please, I need you around, buddy.
Well, I'm not scared. Look, it's very simple. It's very simple. You know what? Look, I'd love to buy the ruble because I think it's very cheap, but I don't think we can. But the Indian rupee
Well, here
is
we go. I'm
probably
bringing him right in. I can't let this go. We got
all
to get
right.
him in here before
I'll be
you
around for a
leave.
few minutes.
There he is, back from vacation and looking tan, my man. How you doing, Mr. Flanagan?
Not so tan. That's snow burn, I think.
Oh God, you can
Did you
keep
go
that show
skiing?
stuff.
Oh, sure. You're going to be the reason I lose my bet on Mountain to Steve. We, you
Well,
know,
I'll tell you what. I was thinking of Steve while I was away in the Pocono area at a beautiful family resort, and
nice.
had the whole family away for our holiday vacation. And thinking of Steve in the sense that when Steve goes away on his cruises, he looks around, he says, people are spending money. Well, you know what? I got to echo that because
Yeah.
this place was packed and people seem to be spending money. So
I don't want to
that's a
hear
good.
that. I just went short on Mountain Vale Properties because it shot up, but I'm in the
Well,
lead
my
so
my
far.
thesis behind it is this doom spending feel, right? That people don't are feeling good about the world. So guess what they do? They either buy things on Amazon or they go on vacations and they spend like there's no tomorrow. The savings rate in the United States is at the lowest in history now. During COVID, it was the highest. Right, I'm seeing doom spending. It's just a level that I'm not really, I'm not comfortable with. And you're totally right. But there are some bright spots, right? I mean, inflation is not ticking up a little bit, 0.3%. So we do expect more rate cuts, right?
That's right. Yep. And let's jump in. Let me first hit Steve before you run. Indian rupee. I love it. I agree with you. Um, I just think it's a timing play. If you're a long-term investor, absolutely.
Okay,
Then you're stepping in here and stepping in if it goes lower. But I want to wait for this Adani thing to
right.
pan out. All right. And Russian ruble, I'm not touching it, Steve. Maybe in the distant future, yeah, I don't disagree with you. Interest rates are very high, but that's a currency we got to wait for this situation to clear. And I think there's plenty of time to get in that. Right now, you can't. So um, you're not allowed to. But
Well,
interest rates, that's on the agenda.
Putin says that to get around his, in this case, tariffs and things of that nature, he is saying that he is going to develop his own AI. That the nationalism and the closing the borders up If you would have told me that that was Trump saying that, I would have said, oh, okay, yeah, but he's saying, I don't care. I'll build my own AI. I'll have my own troops. I'll have my own borders. I'll have my own this. I'll have my own that. Sounds a lot like Donald Trump.
That nationalism, that populism, yeah, I don't disagree, and I certainly don't disagree that he has the capacity to develop his own AI.
Yeah.
The embargo against oil didn't really stop him, so
No.
I don't think that he'll have much of a problem figuring out how to acquire chips to process that stuff as well.
Yeah, I
All
think
right, man.
that.
I love you, Steve. I got to run, but I'll see you next time.
All the best, Steve.
See you tomorrow, Steve. Mr. Flanagan, how are we doing today, sir?
Doing great, my friend.
Good.
Interest rates all over the place. Bank of Canada just gave us a 0.5% cut. Yet another consecutive cut. And now they seem to want to go data dependent, but all these previous all these previous cuts haven't really perked things up. Yes, there's a little bit of a pulse in the economy, and things are beginning to perk up. And why shouldn't they? As our northern neighbor, they're clearly going to be a beneficiary of the stronger U.S. growth. So maybe Canada is about it, 3.25% right now. But that certainly would indicate that the U.S., presently sitting at 4.75, has probably a 0.75 still to take off.
Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, today's CPI numbers has pretty much everybody on the boat that the next quarter point will come in December. Do you think we move quickly after that, or do you think it's from there we slow it down?
I think the goal is to get to about 4.25, 4%. And I do think that that will be incremental in 0.25% cuts from here. Next up, it's tomorrow is SMB.
Yeah.
They're looking to maybe cut a 0.25% from present 1% rate.
Right.
And then we have ECB on Thursday as well, 3.25%, and they're expected to cut a 0.25% as well. That's where my focus is. But next week we have Fed, BOJ, Bank of England, a lot of things in motion. As I said, the tectonic plates below us are the interest rate differentials in the world, and they look like they're getting set to move further away from one another.
Right. That's the big disconnect right now, right? You're going to have. I guess this is my question: is that where we're going to see this money get unlocked? So, in other words, we know there's a ton of money on the sidelines, and to me, that would provide arbitrage opportunities in theory. I don't mean arbitrage in the currencies, but in other words, your thesis. I'm going to buy Japanese stocks because of the interest rate there versus the interest rate in the U.S. right now, or I'm going to buy the stocks. I'm going to put money in the euro to buy the stocks because of X, Y, or Z. Is that when you're going to start to see this play out now? Does this give us a better, playbook? Does it start to give us the guidelines we should be looking at?
Well, guidelines I'm throwing out the window. But
Okay.
selective purchasing of individual currency pairs, and this is the part that's the guidelines are being thrown out, because let's just quickly go through. Sterling, will they cut next week? Probably not. They
Right.
seem to want to see how this budget pans through. But, 40 billion in tax increases. Yes, they're going to have some stimulus measures as well. Stimulus measures are going to take years to implement, but taxes are going to hit immediately.
Immediately.
So,
Yeah.
to me, Sterling has to cut rates, but they're probably going to punt. Fed probably goes 0.25%. Bank of Japan, they may go up now because they're starting to feel pretty good about things.
Sells. Yeah.
And that would really hit the dollar yen at these levels. So you could see a yen appreciation, dollar yen dropping. You
Right.
could see sterling perhaps holding and rising because their rates may stay on hold. You could see the euro dropping. You could see Swiss franc. I mean, Swiss franc to me, I don't understand why it holds value here, especially against the dollar. And you could see the Canadian dollar, the dollar Canada relationship with the dollar going up. So all these pieces going in opposite directions. What it argues for to me is the Dixie. Watch it carefully. Some
Okay.
real clear indications here. We're at 106.55. I think if we get above a 106.85, you're going to look for a break back to 107.50 first stop and back to the highs of 108.07. That's where it becomes a problem.
Right.
But I'm going to say in currency land, that's why I always say money moves first. You want to keep something up to get an idea of what's going on in this land where money, $7.5 trillion trades in a day.
Yeah.
Watch the Mexican peso
Okay.
at 20.03. Right now it's at 20.18. We expect the dollar to probably go up. However, watch dollar mex. If dollar mex breaks below 20.03, that's going to be an indication the dollar trade is over. And you may begin to see a little bit more involved.
Okay. I'm going to mark that here on my screen for me.
And that's a high yielder. That's over 10% interest rate. So,
Right.
that's what attracts money.
So, like we're saying, that would be where the carry trade now moves outside, there, and especially since we'll see the opposite effect out of Japan, right? If they raise their rates, we'll see that. Well, no, that would actually put the Japan carry trade back a little bit in play, right?
Well, it would actually, we have to look at the yen carry trade as something that's been in the books for 10 to 15 years.
Years, right?
So if we begin to see Japan moving rates now be from its 0.25% level, 0.25%, that's where yen rates are.
Yeah.
If we begin to see them moving up, that's going to create an unwinding of the carry. People have to cover their short yen. Remember, they borrowed yen,
Right.
sold the yen, bought the dollar. So now they have a currency exposure of short yen. If the dollar yen begins to drop, they have to cover the
Close it.
short yen
Yeah.
exposure. And so you could see the dollar yen accelerate back down to the 140 level. I'm actually, quite bullish on a yen position, but timing is everything in that one. I would say the maximum upside here is about a 154. Presently, it's sitting
Yeah.
at 152.20. You maybe have another two big figures on the top side, but that's about it.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Um, so you've explained DXY and what we have there. It just when when do we see that, that timing, do you think, of that 108 area that you're looking for that to happen? Is that before the inauguration, or before the end of the year, or do you think this is more a Q1 play that plays out over Q1, I guess I would ask?
Well, Howard, I'm going to throw the whole U.S. scenario out. The
Okay.
U.S. is on autopilot here. The problem is, and this is my discussion on what's behind dollar index, euro. Germany, right now, inflation rates in Germany will lower in their CPI. But the key about the euro here, at a 105, we're about 105 ish right now,
Yeah.
104.70 breaks. You may have early elections as a no confidence vote happens on Monday, I believe, which would bring in a election in Germany to February 23rd. Now, the party called the AFD, it's an alternative. It's what they call the right wing. It's what the US has MAGA, they have
Right.
AFD. The problem is that there are members of this party who made huge gains in the most recent vote in Germany for the
Yeah.
EU. They are talking, some of the members are talking about pulling out of the EU. Now,
Whoa.
that fact alone in Germany, a core state of the euro, has got me nervous. Nervous means you must begin to hedge. And
Right.
you're going to look to sell euros at this level, it could accelerate quickly. We haven't even thrown in the number two power in Europe, France,
Right.
which had their prime minister voted out in a no
Booted.
confidence vote.
Yeah. And
So,
significantly.
yes, so the European political arena is unstable. And let's see what Monday's vote brings within Germany here. And we could really have a situation where the dollar index because the euro makes up over
So big of it,
50%.
right? Yeah. Okay. So I appreciate that explanation because it makes a lot more sense. And I was just curious as to it. So what the impotence was that was going to move it, and it's not so much that the U.S. getting stronger; it's just stronger in relation to what we're dealing with, especially when it comes to the DXY, which, like you said, if every retail trader that does have up appearing, that is normally what they have up. They're going to see that same move and they make decisions based upon those moves. So and it also leads to my one of the questions or something we talked about. You really felt that we weren't quite there for the European play. It sounds like we might be getting closer. You might want to be ready for that bottoming out period because, as you said, money will happen like that. Get down to that dollar level, break that parity in no time if it does crumble. Um, so yeah, is that sort of what is that what you're looking for now? If it does seem to break down, maybe it is the time to start looking at the European stock market and other things. Steve and I were talking. There's been more. Morgan Stanley came out and said European autos dealers in 2025. Again, not saying today, but more is over the next year might be a good place to take a look at because they've been beaten down so much. We've talked about European stocks in general. Steve started to move some money into some of those mutual funds that have the MCSI, Eurozone, and things like that. I've held off a little bit. I'm sort of my view is I'm trying to wait to the end of the year. I'm one of those guys. I don't want capital gains at the last month of the year. I'm a pain in the what that way. So I tend to wait till January to do my resurgence if I can. It sounds like that, but I'll keep an eye on this, right? If it starts to break down, it might be the time to make that move.
From a macro point of view, if I was to weight moves because the dollar is so elevated, my first move would be perhaps be looking into Asia.
Okay.
My second move would be perhaps moving into, and that would be Japan and China.
Right.
My second move would be perhaps moving into India. My third play would be Europe. I would
Okay.
not be in a rush because there's still a lot of factors to come in. Selectively, if I see a break lower in the euro below parity, somewhere between 95 and 98, I perhaps would be looking to begin to develop in that area.
Okay, and that's what I was getting to. If it did make that breakdown, I should start to maybe speed up my timeline a little bit there. That makes all the sense. I'm surprised you said China in there. You and I have gone back and forth, and I have the view now that you've given me that I don't trust any stimulus out of that country. It lasted one day again. And what I have now come to is the China play is a meme coin in crypto when it goes down, and works its way down day after day for a month, you start to buy a little bit, you nibble, and then eventually they give a stimulus package, it shoots up 12% in a day, you sell it and get the heck out.
Well, the key that I had mentioned to you was the timing, because their
Right.
previous two attempts have been met with market going, sure. But this time, they could quickly move here in a very illiquid holiday market where everybody is pulling back liquidity at this time of year.
Right.
Now, if they make a move with some sort of meat to the bone, you could see a very sharp move. I do believe that China, looking at the deflationary pressures within China, looking over at the example of Japan that faced 20 years plus of deflation,
Yeah.
running minus interest rates for extended years, I think that China sees the problem, and I believe that they could move a little bit more aggressively this time around and catch the markets.
Okay, that's a good one to know. I'm a big fan of playing JD and Baba and some of those into those, so I like that idea. Now, I saw some articles that says that they might try to devalue their currency versus the US dollar to combat Trump's tariffs. Does that even make sense? Could it work? And B, do you think they would actually do it?
One, it would not work. They could try it, but it
Yeah.
wouldn't work because it's a very closed market.
That's
It's not as if you have a dollar yen or a euro dollar trading market. The
Yeah.
volumes, while growing, no question, in the offshore market, they could put pressure in doing that. But I think when you have a businessman running the show in the U.S., if they were to see that, they would just simply implement additional
Tariffs.
tariffs.
Yeah. I mean, they
They're
just
not.
say that.
They're not going. Yeah, they're not going to let that game get played. They're well aware of it.
Yeah, and it would also hurt I mean, let's face it, they're also such a huge exporter to all over the world of raw materials, and you don't want to do those at lower rates. While it would spur buying of it, it wouldn't, we've seen from Russia, right? Like we talked about, where they dumped for a week or so when they were in panic mode, but then they've figured out that, hey, oil is the perfect thing to use as my weapon against the sanctions. I would think that China would look the same way on any type of negative play out of the US and say, okay, well, then I'll just sell more of my stuff to Russia and India and my other trading partners.
And if they were to weaken their currency, it may not affect the United States as much, but it would have an effect, a larger effect, on their two big trading partners right now emerging, which would be Europe and Latin America.
Okay, right.
And so that would have negative impacts
That's what I
upon
mean.
them.
That's why I was saying that's why I put that's why I asked that question this morning to you in our email and put like 7 question marks because I was like, man, this one doesn't pass the smell test to me. It just there's too many reasons why, in my limited knowledge of macroeconomics, this does not seem to be a way to play that out. So I'm happy you're able to explain it to us that is the case. I'm trying to think if I think those were my biggest questions for you there. In general, I think that was the big ones. I'm trying to think if there was any other plays I was looking at or any other areas. Not really though. Anything out of
Good.
Australia in this right now?
I was just going to bring that up. I didn't. I glossed over that one early. RBA had their meeting earlier this week, and they punted and passed at a rate cut. So they
Okay.
presently stand at 4.35%, which kind of, I'm a little bit surprised at, because if they're looking at China in this weakening state, why aren't they beginning? Because they are a major, obviously, exporter to China. So if China's weak, their whole industries, have a dampening effect. Um, and we have their unemployment number comes out on Thursday. So my feeling says they should have cut. They didn't. So I'm going to watch to see if I'm right. I'm going to watch their unemployment number suddenly jump up from its 4.1%. Watch that jump to 4.3. And yet again, another central bank looking in the rearview mirror, trying to drive the car forward. And things are already weakening. They should have cut. In fact, all the central banks in the world, get it over with. Let's cut
Yeah.
interest rates. I mean, inflation is stubbornly holding here, but it is going lower. And if you this is a whole nother subject to discuss another time. But if we look at the technology increases that are hitting the world and are only just beginning, technology has a deflationary impact because it helps lower prices through more higher productivity. So
Right.
central banks, I mean, don't you see this coming? What are we waiting on?
Yeah, exactly. And the AI is only going to continue to enhance that and enhance that and enhance that. We're seeing more and more talk of different areas where, it's being used to improve, like you said, productivity. And, that's going to have the deflationary aspect to it. And it's only going to accelerate. And as Steve and I were talking earlier, it's what people don't realize when it comes to self-driving cars and things, and they're starting to realize is that it's Moore's law that comes into place. It's an exponential law of learning and what happens in the world of AI and technology. It doesn't happen in a linear sort of thing. It's logarithmic. It goes up in exponentially quickly, and we're hitting stages where that is going to happen. One takeaway that I have for you that Steve had is, what does that do for car insurance down the road? Something just to put your head around and think about, and while you're eating your holiday stuff, this thing, because I didn't really think about it that way. He says that he thinks that some of the car insurance companies with premiums could be in trouble.
Well, the industry will consolidate. You'll
Yeah,
have the
and
big.
my thing was it's also be less claims, so they pay out less. So you know what I mean? Is I think there's a give and take. Insurance to me is one of those companies that they adjust their formulas and their algorithms to make sure they make money. They might have a bad quarter, but that's it, and then they say, okay, now rates are this.
That's right. They'll continue. It'll put pressure on pricing. Pricing will have to come down, but they'll still maintain profit margin because the claims will come
Come
down.
down, right? That's what I was my takeaway. I was like, it's going to be a two-edged sword there. So, well,
So the
Mr.
industry.
Flanagan, I'm going to let you
Well,
take us away here. What is your final comments
I
on the
have
day?
I have one for you that we can talk about next time. Um, what about the development of quantum computing and the computing power that
Yeah.
will be unleashed, and how will that affect the algorithms in the crypto
It
space?
will. They're working on it though. They already have been working on it a long time. And as you know, many of the people that are designing those chips, and Google up like 6% today after their kickoff of their Willow chip. They're the same developers, a lot of them. The guys that are doing quantum computing are the cryptographists that did it. Yeah, that is the question. I mean, that's the great unknown. I mean, could they break Bitcoin by doing it? And there is definitely that fear. I'm with you. Yeah, that is definitely always talked about in the world of crypto. The thing that I would say is it's been the scare in there since the start.
Right.
So, some people much smarter than me are working on it. What their solution will be, again, I think that's all cybersecurity too, though, right? I mean, quantum computers provides that same problem for everything. It'll be so quick. To me, that's where also you'd have problems in electronic transmission of currencies. Again, you could get double spend is what Bitcoin stopped, right? The
Right.
ability to spend the same money twice as quantum computing, especially when it comes into the world of algorithmic trading, start to get into that world. So yeah, it definitely. I'd love to talk to you more about it. It is one that is on my radar without a doubt that I do keep there. So don't think I don't. I will tell you, giving you my side on the crypto side, an interesting one to keep your eye on. Ripple XRP got approval for their stablecoin through the New York DFS. So I think the first sort of lessening of the regulatory reins, New York's DFS, their Department of Financial Services, is probably the toughest crypto regulator in the world to get through. And they're allowing a stablecoin, the first stablecoin since Circle did USDC to get licensed in New York. So to me, a pretty big deal for the world of crypto.
Good. Okay, I'll look at that.
Have a great couple of days,
Oh,
Mr.
oh,
Flanagan, and we will see you again on Friday. Thank you so
all right.
much.
Very good. Have a great day.
You too.